My name is Brianna Foster. I'm 29 years old, and on my wedding day, I watched my husband-to-be slip something into my champagne glass. I saw him do it, saw him glance around to make sure no one was watching, then drop two small pills into my drink while I was greeting guests. For 5 seconds, I stood frozen behind him, my white dress suddenly feeling like a costume. Then I made a decision that saved my life and destroyed his. I switched eyeglasses, and when he stood up to give his wedding toast in front of 200 people, I watched him drink the drugs he'd intended for me. What happened next, what he revealed in front of everyone we knew, wasn't just shocking, it was evidence. If you think you know where this is going, you don't. Because what I discovered about why he wanted me unconscious on our wedding night will make your blood boil. But before I tell you how I caught a predator in front of his own family, hit that like button right now and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. Let me take you back to where this nightmare pretending to be a fairy tale really began. 3 years ago, I was a 26-year-old marketing coordinator living in Charlotte, North Carolina, building my career, enjoying my independence, living my life. I met Evan Mitchell at a friend's engagement party. He was handsome, charming, successful, worked as a financial consultant, drove a nice car, wore expensive suits. He pursued me relentlessly. Flowers to my office, thoughtful text messages, planned dates at restaurants I'd mentioned wanting to try. He made me feel special, seen, valued. Within 6 months, we were inseparable. Evan was everything I thought I wanted. He came from a good family. His parents lived in a wealthy suburb, big house, country club memberships, the whole package. He talked about our future constantly, marriage, kids, building a life together. He proposed after a year of dating, got down on one knee at the same restaurant where we'd had our first date. The ring was beautiful, princess-cut diamond, exactly what I would have chosen. I said yes without hesitation. Everyone was thrilled. My parents loved him. My friends thought I'd hit the jackpot. "Girl, you better lock that down," my best friend Maya told me. "Men like Evan don't come around often." I believed her. I believed him. I believed the fairy tale he was selling me. But there were moments, small moments I dismissed, where something felt off. Evan didn't like when I went out with my friends without him. He'd text constantly when I was out. "Where are you? Who were you with? When are you coming home?" If I took too long to respond, he'd show up wherever I was. "I was worried about you," he'd say with a concerned smile. It felt controlling, but he'd frame it as caring. He'd make comments about my clothes. "That dress is a little short, don't you think? I don't want other men looking at what's mine." I'd change to make him happy. He wanted access to my phone, said couples shouldn't have secrets. When I hesitated, he accused me of hiding something. "What are you trying to hide from me, Brianna? Are you talking to other guys?" To prove I had nothing to hide, I gave him my passcode. He'd check my messages, my social media, my call logs. He knew everywhere I went, everyone I talked to. But he never gave me access to his phone. It's different. I have client information, confidential financial stuff. You understand, right, baby? And I did understand. I made excuses for him. Told myself he just loved me so much he couldn't bear the thought of losing me. That's not love, that's control. But I didn't see it then. The wedding planning was stressful. Evan had opinions about everything. The venue, the flowers, the guest list, my dress. He insisted on inviting several of his business associates, people I'd never met. "It's important for my career," he said. I wanted a small wedding, intimate, just close family and friends. But every decision somehow became what Evan wanted. 2 months before the wedding, I overheard a phone conversation that made my stomach turn. I'd come home early from work. Evan was in his home office with the door cracked. He didn't know I was there. I heard him talking, voice low and excited. "Yeah, man, the wedding's in 2 months. Everything's planned." He has no idea. Silence as whoever was on the other end spoke. Then Evan laughed. "Trust me, by the time the honeymoon's over, she'll be exactly where I need her to be. Compliant, dependent, mine." My hand froze on my purse. What did that mean? The prenup's already signed. She didn't even read it, just trusted me when I said it was standard. Once we're married, I've got her locked down. Then the real fun begins. I backed out of the house quietly, sat in my car for 20 minutes trying to make sense of what I heard. When I confronted him later, he laughed it off. Baby, you misunderstood. I was talking about a client situation, a business deal. You know I can't discuss specifics. But I knew what I heard. I knew the tone in his voice. Something was wrong. I should have called off the wedding right then, should have listened to my gut. But I'd already sent the invitations, my dress was altered, the venue was paid for. Everyone was excited. How could I tell them I was having doubts based on a phone conversation I might have misunderstood? So I pushed it down, convinced myself I was overreacting, stressed from wedding planning. 1 week before the wedding, my best friend Maya pulled me aside during my bachelorette party. We'd stepped out onto the balcony of the restaurant for some air. Maya grabbed my hand, her face serious. Bree, I need to tell you something, and you're probably going to be mad at me. I felt my stomach drop. What's wrong? I don't trust Evan. I've never trusted him. And before you marry him, I need you to know that. 2 of the guys at his bachelor party last weekend were talking. They thought I couldn't hear them, but I did. They were laughing about how Evan has been planning this for years, how he's finally getting his perfect submissive wife, and once you're married, he's going to train you right. I pulled my hand away. Maya, that's ridiculous. You're taking locker room talk seriously? Bree, one of them said Evan has done this before, that his last girlfriend ended up in a hospital after a few months with him. They had to pull her out of his apartment half dead. My heart was pounding. You're lying. I'm not. I tried to find more information, but I don't know the girl's name. I just know what I heard. Please, please don't marry him. At least postpone it. Investigate. I was furious. How dare she say these things a week before my wedding? You're jealous. You've been single for years and you can't stand that I'm happy. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I'm trying to save you, Brianna. I love you. Something is very wrong with that man. I walked away from her that night, didn't speak to her the rest of the week. I was so angry, so defensive. Now I realized she was the only person trying to protect me. The morning of my wedding, I woke up in the bridal suite at the venue with a knot in my stomach. All my bridesmaids were there, helping me get ready. Hair, makeup, dress. Everyone was excited, taking pictures, drinking mimosas. But I felt numb. I kept thinking about Maya's warning, about the phone conversation I'd overheard, about all the little moments that felt wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from Evan. Can't wait to make you my wife. Today changes everything. I love you. Why did that text feel like a threat? My mother came in, beautiful in her mother of the bride dress, crying happy tears. Oh, honey, you look stunning. Evan is going to lose his mind when he sees you. I forced a smile. Mom, can I ask you something? How did you know Dad was the right one? She sat down next to me, took my hand. I just knew. Deep in my gut, I knew he was safe, that I could trust him with my whole heart. Why? Are you having doubts? I wanted to tell her everything, wanted to say that my gut was screaming at me to run. But instead, I said, no, just wedding day jitters. She kissed my forehead. That's normal, baby. But once you're standing at that altar looking at Evan, all those nerves will disappear. The ceremony was beautiful. I walked down the aisle, my father's arm steady beside me. Evan stood at the altar in his tuxedo, looking at me with such intensity it made my skin crawl. We said our vows, he kissed me, everyone clapped, and just like that, I was Mrs. Brianna Mitchell. There was no going back now.
The reception was in full swing. Dinner had been served, people were dancing, laughing, celebrating. I was sitting at the head table next to Evan, smiling for photos, playing the happy bride. But I felt like I was watching myself from outside my body. Evan leaned over and whispered, "You look tired, baby. After my toast, we should slip away early. I have some special plans for our wedding night." Something in his tone made my blood run cold. Before I could respond, the DJ announced it was time for champagne and toasts. Servers came around with trays of champagne glasses, placing them in front of every guest. 2 glasses were set in front of Evan and me, crystal flutes filled with expensive champagne, his parents' gift to us. Evan stood up to go talk to his best man about the toast order. I was about to get up to greet some guests who just arrived when I realized I'd left my phone on the table. I turned back to grab it, and that's when I saw him. Evan was standing at our table, his back to me. He glanced around quickly, making sure no one was looking. Then he pulled a small bottle from his jacket pocket, tilted it over my champagne glass, and I watched 2 small white pills drop into my drink. My champagne, the glass meant for me. He stirred it quickly with his finger, then put the bottle back in his pocket. My heart stopped. Time seemed to freeze. What did I just see? Did my husband just drug my drink? At our wedding? In front of 200 people? He turned around and nearly ran into me. For a split second, panic flashed across his face. Then he smiled. "There you are, beautiful. Ready for toasts?" I couldn't speak. My mind was racing. Why would he drug me? What was in those pills? What was he planning to do to me? Evan kissed my forehead. "Are you okay? You look pale." "I'm fine," I managed to say, "just overwhelmed. It's been a long day." "Well, after my toast, we'll get out of here. I can't wait to be alone with you." He squeezed my hand, and I wanted to vomit. Evan walked away to talk to the DJ. I stood there staring at the 2 champagne glasses, mine, now drugged, his untouched. 5 seconds of decision. 5 seconds that would change everything. I reached out and switched the glasses, put his glass in my spot, put my drugged glass in his spot. My hands were shaking so badly I almost knocked them over, but I did it. Then I sat down and waited. The DJ's voice boomed through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glasses for a toast from the groom, Evan Mitchell." Everyone applauded. Evan walked back to the head table, that confident smile on his face. He picked up his glass, the drugged glass, my glass. He held it up and began his toast. "First, I want to thank everyone for being here today to celebrate me and my beautiful wife, Brianna." He looked at me with such false love in his eyes. "Brianna, you are everything I've ever wanted. Beautiful, trusting, perfect. Today, you became mine, completely mine, and I promise I will take such good care of you." People awed. I felt sick. "To my wife, to our future, to forever." He raised the glass to his lips and drank deeply, half the glass in one gulp. At first, nothing happened. Evan finished his toast, everyone cheered and drank. My father stood up to give his toast next. I sat there, my own glass untouched, watching Evan, waiting. About 10 minutes later, I noticed Evan blinking hard, rubbing his eyes. "Are you okay?" I asked quietly. "Yeah, just tired. Long day." His speech was slightly slurred. 5 more minutes. Evan was swaying in his seat. His eyes were glazed over, unfocused. He grabbed the table to steady himself. "Babe, I don't feel good. I feel really weird." My mother-in-law noticed. "Evan, honey, are you all right? You look pale." Evan stood up, stumbled. People at nearby tables started noticing. "I need air. I need—" His words were slurring badly now. Whatever he'd put in that drink was strong, very strong. My uncle, a doctor, rushed over. "Evan, sit down. What's wrong? What are you feeling?" Evan was trying to talk, but his words weren't making sense. He was fading fast. "Brianna, the drink, I was supposed to—" He collapsed, just fell right there at the head table. People screamed. My uncle started checking him, feeling for a pulse. "Call 911 now. He's been drugged." Chaos erupted. Guests were panicking. Evan's parents were crying. EMTs arrived within minutes. As they were loading Evan onto a stretcher, he was mumbling, incoherent, but in his drug state, he was talking, and a lot of people were listening. "Had to. Control her. Can't let her leave. Prenup. Insurance. Mine. All mine." The paramedics rushed Evan to the hospital. His mother insisted I ride in the ambulance. I refused. "I need to stay here and handle things," I said. What I really needed was to find out what the hell was happening. My uncle pulled me aside. "Brianna, Evan has been drugged, heavily. Do you have any idea what he might have taken?" "No," I lied. "But I need to tell you something." I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and showed him a video. I'd recorded Evan dropping the pills in my drink. I'd set my phone up to record when I went back to the table. He drugged my champagne. I saw him do it, so I switched our glasses. My uncle's face went white. Oh my God. Brianna, you need to call the police right now. The police came to the venue. I showed them the video. I gave him Evan's jacket, which still had the pill bottle in the pocket. Within hours, they'd identified the drug, Rohypnol, the date rape drug, a high dose, enough to knock someone out for hours. I sat in the bridal suite, still in my wedding dress, as detectives asked me questions. Mrs. Mitchell, did your husband ever mention why he might want to drug you? No, but I overheard a phone conversation 2 months ago. He said I'd be compliant and dependent after the honeymoon, that he had me locked down. The detective's expression darkened. We need to look into his background. This might not be his first time. They were right. It wasn't. Over the next few days, as Evan recovered in the hospital under police watch, the truth came out. Evan had a history. 3 previous relationships, all ended badly. One woman had filed a police report claiming he drugged and assaulted her, but withdrew it after he threatened her. Another disappeared for 3 days and was found disoriented, unable to remember what happened. The third, the one Maya had mentioned, was hospitalized with severe trauma. Evan was arrested in his hospital bed, charged with attempted sexual assault, drugging with intent to harm, and conspiracy. The investigation uncovered his plan. He'd married me for control and money. The prenup he'd pressured me to sign gave him access to my trust fund if we stayed married more than a year. His plan was to drug me on our wedding night, assault me, and spend our honeymoon breaking me down psychologically, making me dependent, compliant, afraid. He had cameras ordered for our bedroom, locks that only opened from the outside. He'd planned this for months. My wedding night would have been the beginning of my captivity. The trial was quick. The video evidence was damning. His ex-girlfriends testified. The jury took 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. 15 years in prison. As they led him away, Evan looked at me one last time. You were supposed to be perfect. You were supposed to obey. I looked him dead in the eye. I switched the glasses. You drugged yourself in front of everyone you knew. You confessed in front of dozens of witnesses. You destroyed yourself, Evan. I just helped. The marriage was annulled. I got everything back. My trust fund, my freedom, my life. Maya was the first person I called after the verdict. You were right, I said, crying. You tried to warn me. I'm just glad you're safe, she said. I'm so glad you saw him in time. That was 2 years ago. I'm 29 now. I'm in therapy, healing, rebuilding. I've started a nonprofit helping women escape controlling relationships. Every time I tell my story, another woman reaches out saying she saw the signs in her own relationship. My name is Brianna Foster. On my wedding day, my husband tried to drug me, so I switched our glasses and let him destroy himself in front of everyone he knew. If this story opened your eyes to the dangers of controlling partners, hit that like button. Comment where you're watching from. Share this story, because somewhere a woman needs to see the signs. Subscribe for more stories of survival and justice. Thank you for listening, and remember, trust your gut. It might save your life.